In Modern, many decks are over $1,000, but in today's video, we are going to be taking a deck that only costs $80 and beating the format. The deck that we're taking is 8-Whack. When looking at our list, there are two key cards to this deck, Goblin Bushwhacker and Reckless Bushwhacker, which both give your creatures +1/+0 and haste when they enter the battlefield. And when looking at the rest of the deck, there are some strange artifacts, but we're going to be abusing them with Kuldotha Rebirth and Gleeful Demolition, which gives us 3 1/1 Goblin tokens by killing an artifact. This means that we can get these 3 1/1s and cast out a Bushwhacker, have 8 to 10 power, or even 20 on turn 4. And this deck can play 16 lands because we're playing Street Wraith and Mistress Bauble, which cycle for free. And my favorite part about this deck is we're playing the best burn spell in the Modern format. This is Goblin Grenade, which is a 1 mana deal 5 damage to any target. So we're going to be taking this budget deck and absolutely dominating the Modern format. We are on the play and hand looks great. We'll go turn 1 Mountain into a Star, then cast out our Memnite. Opponent goes turn 1 Mountain into a Goblin Guide. Attacking, revealing a Kuldotha Rebirth. We draw our Rebirth, we will cast it, sacking our Star, drawing into a Bushwhacker and making 3 1/1s. We attack in for 1. Opponent plays a Mountain into a DRC, then casting Unholy Heat on our Memnite. They attack in for 2, giving us a Mountain, and we will not block. We top deck a Goblin Grenade, we'll play Mountain into a Star, then cast Gleeful Demolition on it, making 3 more 1/1s and drawing an Epicure. Then we ship in for 3, and opponent's down to 15. Opponent plays Ramunap Ruins into a Goblin Guide, then cast out Seal of Fire, milling over a Kumanu, and they sack the seal, dealing 2 to us, and they attack in for 4, revealing a Bushwhacker, so we'll double block one of the Goblin Guides, falling down to 12. Then they cast a Light Up the Stage post-combat, exiling a Swift Spear and a DRC. We'll play out our Synthesizer, which exiles a land, we'll play that out, then cast our Voldaren Epicure into a Goblin Grenade, killing the DRC, sacking a 1/1, and attacking in for 3. Opponent plays out a Channeler into a Swift Spear, into another Swift Spear, attacking in for 2. We draw an Epicure, we'll cast Gleeful Demolition on our Synthesizer, exiling a land, then we'll play land, play Epicure, then search out our Bushwhacker, and math is definitely for blockers. An opponent is dead, let's get on to sideboarding. We'll take out 3 Street Wraith for 3 Pyrite Spellbombs. Game 2, our hand looks great. Opponent goes turn 1 Mountain into a Kumanu. We find a Gleeful Demolition, we'll play out Ramunap Ruins into a Bauble, casting Gleeful Demolition on our Bauble, then playing second Bauble out. Opponent triggers Keld, then casts a DRC as a 2/2, then casts out a Mistress Bauble, surveilling, keeping the card on top. And they miss a land drop, so we'll look at their top card, and we see a land. We draw a Mountain and a Street Wraith, we'll cycle Street Wraith, find another Mountain, play Mountain, then cast a Memnite into a Surged Bushwhacker, and we'll attack in for 10. And opponent takes all 10, going down to 9. Opponent flips a Kumanu and plays out a Scalding Tarn, then casts out a Goblin Guide into a Swift Spear, and opponent attacks in for 4. We draw Memnite, we'll play it into our Spellbomb, killing their Swift Spear, and we'll attack in with everything, and they trade off with our Bushwhacker, falling to 4. Then we'll play out a Mountain, passing. Opponent plays out a Fills into a Lava Spike, and they attack in with everything. We will chump block the Kumanu, falling down to 5. Then they cast a Bolt, killing our Memnite. We draw a Star, we'll run that out, cycle it for a red. Sadly, that's not a good draw, so we'll attack in for 2. Then we'll pass back. Opponent attacks in with both, we have to chump, and then opponent casts out a Light Up the Stage. And sadly, that finds a Lava Spike, so let's get on to game number 3. Game 3, our hand looks amazing. We'll go turn 1 Mountain into an Epicure. Opponent goes turn 1 Mountain into Kumanu. We find the Synthesizer, we'll run that out, exiling a Bauble, which we will cast, then we'll play out Mountain into a Kuldotha Rebirth, sacking a Blood Token, and attacking for 1. Opponent goes Mountain into a 3/3 Goblin Guide, attacking us, revealing another Synthesizer, we'll take 3, and then they suspend a Riftbolt. So we'll crack our Bauble on the end step, seeing a Dragon's Claw on their top. We draw a Synthesizer and a Goblin Grenade. We'll lead on Gleeful Demolition on our Synthesizer, exiling a Street Wraith. Sadly, we cannot cast that. So we'll play our Ramunap Ruins into a Bauble, attack the opponent for 4, and then we'll cast Goblin Grenade, sacking one of our 1/1s, putting them down to 8. And their upkeep, they Riftbolt us, putting us down to 13. They flip Kumanu and play out a Canyon into a Dragon's Claw. On their end step, we'll crack Bauble, seeing a Swift Spear. We draw Mountain into Star. We'll play out Mountain into our Star, cycling for a red. Finding a Synthesizer, we'll play one of them out. Opponent gains a life. And we exile a Pyrite Spellbomb, which we'll cast out and kill their Kumanu. And then we'll attack in with the team. And they block 1, taking 5. And on their end step, they cast a Bolt, targeting us, going back up to 4. Opponent plays out a Swift Spear, going to 5. Then they bolt us, gaining another life and putting us down to 7. Then they cast a Light Up the Stage, which exiles 2 lands. And opponent attacks with both, putting us down to 1. And our top card is a Memnite, so we'll cast a Synthesizer. Opponent goes up to 7. And we exile a Bushwhacker. We'll cast our Memnite and kick our Bushwhacker. Opponent gains a life, but that's not going to matter. And we will attack in for way more than lethal. Let's go. We're on the play and hand looks amazing. We'll go turn 1 Mountain into an Epicure. Opponent goes turn 1 Cliffs into a Grief. They take Kuldotha Rebirth and cast a Feign Death on the Grief, which returns to the battlefield as a 4/3, triggering it again, taking our Bushwhacker. We draw a Mountain, we'll cycle our Street Wraith, finding the Synthesizer, we'll cast that out, casting Bauble, then going Mountain into a Star, and we'll attack in for 1. On the upkeep, we'll use Bauble, seeing a Mountain. Opponent plays Mire Mire and attacks us for 4. We draw Epicure and Mountain. We will cycle away one of the mountains with the blood, find another mountain, then cycle with our star, finding Demolition, then we will sack our Synthesizer, triggering it, and finding a Goblin Grenade. We will play Mountain and then cast a Goblin Grenade at the opponent, sacking one of our 1/1s, then attacking for 1, putting them to 12. Opponent plays a Swamp into a Fury, killing all of our creatures. Then they cast out a Seasoned Pyromancer, and they bop us for 4. We draw Street Wraith, we will cycle it, finding a Goblin Grenade, then we'll play out Epicure, cycling our Mountain away, finding a Memnite, which we'll hold on to. Opponent casts a Thoughtseize, taking a Goblin Grenade, and then they attack in for 6. And we just draw a Mountain, so we'll concede and get on to sideboarding. And we have nothing for this matchup, it's just a horrible matchup. Let's get into game 2. Game 2, we will keep our 7. We'll lead on cycling a Street Wraith, and cycle another one. Then we'll play a Mountain, passing back. Opponent goes turn 1 Swamp into a Thoughtseize. They take our Bushwhacker, we draw another one, so we'll cast it out, kicking it, attacking for 2. Opponent plays Swamp into a Dothy. We find a Synthesizer, we'll play that out. Exiling a Kadoltha Rebirth, which we will cast, sacking Synthesizer, which finds us a land. We'll play that out and attacking for 1. An opponent has a Fury, unfortunate, killing all of our creatures, and then they attack us for 3. We top deck a Bobble, good draw. We'll play that out, and then we'll Lethal Demolition it, and then Surge out our Bushwhacker, attacking in for 8. Opponent sacrifices their Dothy, then cast out our Synthesizer, which finds a Grief. Then they play a Mountain into a Grief, which takes our Goblin Grenade. We top deck a Synthesizer, good draw, finding an Epicure, so we play that out, attacking with the team, putting the opponent down to 2, and then we'll Gleeful Demolition our Blood token. Opponent plays out an EE, popping it, then plays out a Blackleaf Cliffs. We draw a Memnite, we'll attack in for 1. They terminate our Epicure, then we'll sack Synthesizer, getting a 2/2. Exiling a star, which we cannot cast, then play out our Memnite. Then opponent plays out a Fury on their turn, killing our board. We top deck a Bushwhacker, and we'll pass back. Opponent attacks in for 6, we're down to 2. And then they cast a Bolt. Close game, almost beating EE and 2 Furies. Match 0 on the draw, and hands fine. Opponent leads on a Mesa. We draw a Rebirth, we'll go turn 1 Chromatic Star into a Memnite. Opponent goes Blood Crypt into a Written 6, then pings down our Memnite. We draw a Bobble, we'll cast out our Rebirth, sack a star, drawing into a Street Wraith. We'll cycle that, finding a Mountain, then we'll cast Bobble and pass back to the opponent. Opponent takes up with a Wren, then fetches out a Mountain into a Fable, and we bobble them, seeing Creativity on top. We draw Rebirth and land, we'll play out land, kick our Bushwhacker, and attack the opponent for 8. And no blocks from the opponent, so we'll cast out a Synthesizer post-combat, finding an Epicure. Opponent discards Lily and a Bitter Reunion off of Fable, then plays out a Dwarf, attacks us for 2 with the Shaman, making a treasure. Down ticks with Wren, killing our Bushwhacker, then cast Creativity for 2, and we're just dead, so let's get on to sideboarding. Again, no changes in this matchup. Game 2, hands a little weak, but we'll keep. We'll go turn 1 Mountain into a Bushwhacker. Opponent goes turn 1 Blood Crypt into an Inquisition, taking our Bushwhacker. We top deck another one, so we'll cast that, kicking it, attacking for 4, then cast out our Bobble. Opponent fetches for a Mountain and plays out Bitter Reunion, discarding a Persist, drawing 2. And on their end step, we use Bobble, seeing Creativity. We find an Epicure and a land, so this is lethal. We attack in for 2, play out an Epicure, play an opponent to 10, and then we Goblin Grenade them twice. God, I love Goblin Grenade. Let's get on to game 3. Game 3, we'll keep our 7, and opponent goes turn 1 Triome. We find a land, we'll play it out, cast out our Memnite, and then cast a Gleeful Demolition on it. Opponent casts out an Inquisition, taking our Bushwhacker and playing a Mire. We draw land, we'll play a Mountain and attack in for 3. And before damage, they fetch a Mountain and bolt a Goblin. Opponent casts out a Bitter Reunion, discarding an Archon, and playing out a Foothills. We draw an Epicure, we'll play our land, cast out Epicure, bring an opponent to 16, and then surge out our Bushwhacker, attacking the opponent for 8. An opponent casts a Brotherhood in, killing our board, then playing out a Dwarven Mine. And we draw a Bushwhacker. We'll sack our Blood token, and then surge out our Bushwhacker. Opponent has to block here, and opponent's down to 1. And opponent scoops him up. Let's go! We're 2-1. Let's get on to match number 4. Match 4, we're on the draw, and hand looks great. Opponent goes turn 1 Ottawa, and they're on a Mold of 4. We'll go turn 1 Mountain into a star. Opponent shocks in Watergrave, casting Thoughtseize, taking one of our Gleeful Demolitions. We draw an Epicure, we'll cast Demolition on our star, getting 3 1/1s and finding Street Wraith, which we cycle, finding a Memnite, which we cast out. Opponent casts Consider, milling over a Stubborn Denial, then plays an Islet. We draw a Mountain, we'll cast out an Epicure. That resolves, and we'll attack in for 4. Then we'll play a Mountain and cast another Epicure. And opponent skips it up. Let's get on to sideboarding. And since we saw like nothing from their deck, we'll just submit the list. Game 2, our hand has no land, so we got a mole. And our 6 looks great. We'll put back a Street Wraith. Opponent goes fetch Shock into a Thoughtseize, taking our Reckless Bushwhacker. We draw a star, we'll go Mountain into a star, then cast out our Memnite. Opponent plays a Misty, and we find a Ramen Up Ruins. We'll cycle our star, grabbing a Street Wraith, which we will cycle, finding Bobble, then we cast out Synthesizer, which exiles a Memnite, and we cast that into a Mountain and a star. Then we'll attack in for 1. Opponent casts out Death Shadow, passing. We find a Mountain, we'll cycle our star for a red, drawing a Memnite. So we'll cast out Bobble, play our Ruins, and pass back. In their upkeep, we look at their top card, seeing a Murktide. An opponent does nothing, and we draw a Gleeful Demolition, which we'll cast on our Synthesizer, and they cast a counter spell. So we'll play our land, passing back. Opponent did nothing, we find a land, we'll activate Synthesize, getting a 2/2, and triggering Synthesizer, getting a star. We'll play out the star, and play out our mountain, cycling our star for a red. Find another land, so we'll pass back. Again, nothing from them. We find a rebirth, we'll attack in with our samurai. Opponent takes it, going down to 9. Then we'll play out a Ramanop runes. And on our end step, they push down our samurai. Opponent attacks in for 4, we'll take it. On their end step, we'll sacrifice a Ramanop runes, dealing 2 to them. We find a Gleeful Demolition, we'll attack in for 2. And opponent's down to 5. Then we'll cast Gleeful Demolition on a Memnite, which they counterspell. Then we'll Coldalt the Rebirth, sacking our Memnite, getting 3 1/1s, and casting on our Memnite. Opponent cycles a Street Wraith, going down to 3, and scoops him up. Let's get into the 5th and final match. Match 5, we're on the play, and hand's a little too land heavy. And our 6 is much stronger, we'll put back a Synthesizer. We'll go turn 1 Mountain into a Bauble, then cast out Rebirth, sacking Bauble, getting 3 1/1s. Opponent goes turn 1 Vantage into a Clever Luminancer. We draw runes, we'll play Mountain, and then kick out our Bushwhacker, attacking in for 8, and no blocks from the opponent. Opponent casts another Luminancer into an Air Mesa, and we top deck another Bushwhacker, so we'll play runes, play out Bushwhacker, and then surge out our other one, and then we'll attack in with the team. Opponent casts a Lava Dart, killing one of our Bushwhackers, then blocks 2 Bushwhackers, killing them, but they fall down to 5. Opponent attacks in with the team, then casts 2 Mutagenic Growths on their Lumimancers, going down to 1, and cast a Boros Charm, giving one of them double strike. Pretty sweet turn from the opponent, we're just dead, and we fall down to -11, so let's get on to sideboarding. We'll take out 3 Street Wraiths for 3 Pyrite Spell Bombs. Game 2, our hand has no threats, so we get them all. And our 6 is fine, we'll keep putting back a land. We'll go turn 1 Mountain. Opponent goes turn 1 Vantage into a Lumimancer. We draw a Synthesizer, we'll play 1. Exiling a Mountain, we'll play that. Then cast a Gleeful Demolition, destroying it, making 3 1/1s. Opponent goes Swift Spear into a Canyon, and no attacks. We top deck a Bushwhacker, play out our Synthesizer, finding a land, which we'll play out. Then cast Coldalt the Rebirth, sacking our Synthesizer, and exiling a Goblin Grenade. And we'll cast our Goblin Grenade, killing their Swift Spear. Opponent plays a Mountain and buys Gigantha. We find another Bushwhacker, play our Mountain and kick one out, then play another, kicking it. Oh my Lanta. But again, math for blockers, so. And opponent goes to -1, what a sweet turn. Let's get on to game 3. Game 3, our hand's perfectly fine. Opponent plays turn 1 Foundry into a Lumimancer. We find a Memnite, we'll play that, play a Mountain, and cast a Gleeful Demolition on it. Opponent plays Canyon into Crash Through, then plays out another Lumimancer, and no attacks. We find a Mountain, we'll play out a Spell Bomb, then play Mountain and kill one of the Lumimancers. Then we'll cast out a Bauble, passing. Opponent plays Mountain, passing, we'll Bauble them, seeing another land. We draw land into Bauble, we'll play out Ruins and cast a Bauble. Opponent plays Advantage, and on the end step, we'll look at their top card, seeing a Manamorphose. We draw a Goblin Grenade and a Bushwhacker, we'll play out Memnite, then kick out our Bushwhacker, and then we'll attack in with the team. An opponent casts Emerge Unscathed on their Lumimancer, then blocks our Bushwhacker, falling down to 8. So we'll play out another Ruins, passing back. And on our end step, they crack their Canyon. On their upkeep, they rebound the Emerge Unscathed, and in response, they Manamorphose. And still in their upkeep, they cast another Emerge Unscathed, then bolt us, putting us down to 17. They cast another Manamorphose, then play a Blister Coil Weird into a Bolt, and they can only put us down to 2. And we're at 2, but we have lethal. And we draw a Synthesizer, we'll attack in with the team, and they trade off with a Blister Coil. And they're at 4, casting Goblin Grenade at them. And opponent's dead. 4-1 for us. Awesome. So yeah, this deck is absolutely amazing. I love that we can beat Modern with a super budget deck. It is a very weird one, and it's super aggressive, but super cool. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.